All right, it is 5:45. We're going to go ahead and get started. Please return to your seat and give me your silent eyes in 5, 4. Thanks, Christina, for working to get there. 3, 2. Waiting on just a few. And 1. Why does Nia run out of the room when I start doing a countdown? Thank you. Thank you. That's a nice friend, but you and I are on the same team this year, so you got to think about where your loyalties lie. All right, good afternoon. They do have me do some other things other than just fun stuff sometimes, so I am also a serious person, I promise. We're going to go ahead and talk about evaluation. So please take let's take 1 silent minute to read over the questions for the do now, and then I just want you to hold up the number you want to talk about with your table mates when we come back, and then when we come back, we'll talk about it. So 1 silent minute, and then we'll come back and talk. Go. 1 silent minute to read over the questions. Choose 1 or 2, and then tell me which one you're going to answer when you go. You're just going to talk about it at your table, but I didn't give you those directions yet. Any other clarifying questions? I'm being recorded. Why are you trying to undermine me right now? 30 more seconds. Waiting for some hands. Do you want to do 1? Do you want to do 2? Wow, we got a table of 2s in the back. Okay. 2. Lots of 2s. All right. Nobody likes my first question. All right. Thanks for the feedback. Wait on a couple more. You don't have a table, so I'll come over to you, Kelsey. 10 more seconds. Christina, what one you're going to answer? Okay. Rito, what are you going to answer? All right. 2 minutes to talk at your table about your chosen question. Go. You want to move over here? Yeah. All right. You don't want to have a one-on-one with me? That's fine.
I think one of the most difficult things is that in being very
they try to incentivize it's not working.
no one believes so naturally knows how to do this, especially to like and it won't come and then all of a sudden you're like, I feel weird.
1 minute.
And it becomes kind of second nature, which is what we can but yeah, that takes time. I also think pushing that adaptability because it seems like things are pretty set with where are we? Highlandtown Elementary Middle? Well, you never know, things happen, right? A teacher might say, I'm actually not going to be here, I'm not, to be able to support you today, or something happens in the classroom and they change that.
30 seconds.
It doesn't mean that they're not cut out for this. It just means that it's a possibility.
Finishing up your conversations in the next 10 seconds.
It was good. It was so good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Coyote came out. That's crazy. All right, so glad a lot of you focused on question 2. We all will be supporting in the evaluation of residents this summer. So number 1's a little bit of a no-brainer. We'll do a little bit more of a deep dive into how as we progress through staff training. What are some ways, I'll take one idea from each table, one way that you think you can support and encourage resident growth and development this summer? Feedback, love it. This side of the room?
Remaining encouraging because sometimes the feedback could be overwhelming.
Being encouraging, love it. Back of the room? Communicating potential, love it. Relationships. You guys are a bunch of softies, but let's do this. All right, speaking of softies, here at PST, we evaluate. So our evaluation model, though it can feel a little bit daunting for both staff and residents, it is a unique feature of our program because we want the highest quality teachers to walk into Baltimore City Public Schools possible, right? We want them to feel prepared, ready, and be performing in a place where they're going to continue to grow and give our students what they deserve, okay? In this program, even though coaches are the ones responsible for doing the evaluation, FEMS, instructors, the leadership team, we're all here to support coaches and support resident development in this evaluation. So evaluation is really important, but I'm going to talk to you a lot about growth and growth potential this summer and tonight. So let's talk about it. Can I have the FEMS read our objectives, right? It's about time they did something.
Explain how our residents are evaluated at pre-service training.
Describe the role of each staff member in resident evaluation.
Amazing. So tonight's going to be a brief overview. I know my new folks are like, I want more information. It's just like abstract in my mind. I don't know what it is yet. And I promise you probably won't know what it is until next year, okay, at staff training. Because the first year is, as much as we can talk about it in staff training, we can practice it, you don't know it until you do it fully, all right? So we're going to give you as most information as we can. We're going to give you opportunities to practice and ask questions, but until you're in it, you're not going to know it for certain. So let's get comfortable being uncomfortable. There's our vision statement. You know it by heart, so we're going to keep moving. I'm going to ask you to hold on to driven and courageous during this session, but also in any instance where you're evaluating this summer. Can I have a returner tell me why I need you to be driven when evaluating? Zani.
We're dealing with adults. Adults are way more resistant to feedback in general. They don't want to hear a lot of people are going to come in very sensitive. If you're giving them from day one, you'll see certain people, and some people will love the feedback, but a lot of people will get offended and will think that you're saying they're horrible. So you have to just remember, you have to remind people, like, it's okay, and like Kristen was saying, just really always pushing residents to know, like, this is what we're going to do to get to the next point, but no, today you are not 3. Even if you are, we're going to still push you. But you will have people that will look you square in your eye and get a little uneasy about when you're telling them that they're not heard. So you have to be prepared to continue to be driven with the feedback, be grounded in the rubric. It's not about what you feel, it's what you see. And know that you're an expert and be confident. Even if you don't feel confident, lean on, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
You are.
But I'm just saying, okay, be driven.
No, I was just thinking back, reflecting on the first time you told me I wasn't perfect and how hard that was. Anyway, why do I want to see you be brave? I want to see you be brave. Why do we got to do that? Yeah, Rita. Now the thumbs are really working for you all. Okay.
When you are evaluating, even informally, part of that is going to be different types of active coaching, where you're standing up and modeling something in the classroom while residents are teaching. And that's something we're going to show you the different strategies for how to do that. And it may feel like, I don't want to step in. Like trying to understand when is the right time to step in a way that will be supportive to your residents is going to take some courage.
Love it. Any other ideas about driven or courageous? Cool. I'm going to speak from a place of Shanita and I get your babies at the end of the summer. And I know that she said this last week, but we know you all can build relationships, right? We know you care about your students. We know you care about the teachers who are coming in. We know that. We got that part. The tough part is when we ask you to place a value on their effectiveness, right? That's hard to do. Right? So we're going to ask you to continue to push into being comfortable, being uncomfortable. But I'm telling you, at the end of the summer, when we ask you about your professional assessment of whether or not somebody is ready, having been there, it's hard to say, I love this person. I think they are wonderful. And I know they're here for the right reasons, but they're just not ready, right? It's hard to, that's it's cool to have that power, but it's really hard to have that power and responsibility over somebody's path. But it is essential because the things that show up in the summer, I always say it's the tip of the iceberg. All right, you see the top of the iceberg, what's over the water in the summer? We are swimming around the iceberg in the Arctic cold, the giant iceberg that exists under the water all year, right? So what you see during the summer, and I hate to say this, but it is the best we see, right? So somebody who shows a growth mindset, somebody who shows they're willing and pushing and improving, they're going to continue to do that. Somebody who doesn't show that during the summer is going to show even less than that during the school year. So that's why we're focused on the evaluation, but our evaluation model this year is focused on growth this year. I know I'm wordy, that's why they don't put me up here a lot. All right, so you saw this last week. This is our evaluation model. And for my returners, this is the most equitable evaluation model we've ever had. And we talked about it because for TNCP Core, they get a stream of learning. For TLAC, they get a stream of learning. For lesson planning and prep, it's a little bit living in all streams of learning, and then essential traits is the same. So why not evaluate them all at the same level, right? Essential traits has always kind of been the one that gets the least, the smallest chunk of the pie. But year over year, what we're seeing is that if people show that they're invested, if people show that they're willing to grow and are putting the effort in, why is that valued any less than their classroom performance, right? Because they're going to continue to grow. So that's the big change you're going to see this summer. Let's do a whip around of each of the four tables, starting with Christina's table. Tell me what's happening with the core, the TLAC, essential traits, and lesson planning and preparation. So core, Christina's table. Read that bullet point for me.
Coaches will observe and rate each of their residents 3 times during PST. It will be informal in the final one.
TLAC. Wow, that sounded similar. Essential traits.
Coaches will gather data throughout training and rate residents approximately every week. A score of 2 or below is a concern and requires comments.
For my newcomers, we'll get to that, don't worry. Lesson planning and preparation up here.
Feedback on lesson plans will serve as evidence for it.
So that what that means is that you're just embedding your comments into the actual lesson plans.
Question. So for core, TLAC, and lesson planning, for the 3 of them, are they all under the same evaluation, or the same
You want to visualize a calendar?
No. I'm saying so you have one lesson you're sitting there observing them and you're scoring them for core, TLAC, and not 3 separate observations.
So generally, core and TLAC can happen at the same time. There might be an instance where you're looking at a different lesson plan for the one you're evaluating being taught. It's just going to depend on how the calendar works out. We generally don't like to overlap with lesson planning because we call that a double ding. We'd rather give them more feedback on more lessons. And if I do a really poor job on this lesson plan, I'm probably not going to execute it super well. So we don't want to rate them. We want to give them basically another chance. But with the quick turnaround this year, there might be a chance where you have to do both, but we're going to try to avoid it. I saw another hand maybe somewhere. All right, Adam, I hate to continue to pick on you about all the instructor things, but I keep seeing coach. As an instructor, what are some ways that our 2 instructors can support with evaluation or resident development?
timing this past summer was just kind of a pain point for coaches. They check in like, are you seeing the same things that I was before I put in that final score? But I think this time when we have two informal, that would be really important to have someone there to be more biased because they built a really strong relationship with that resident. So having the instructor there kind of as a reference for the coach is really important. Also for the resident, because the resident can, as we said, kind of react negatively to feedback. It might kind of put it all on the coach. But if they hear the instructor kind of echoing that they are seeing these things, kind of be a workaround of that.
Love it. Yeah, thanks for calling that out. Go ahead, Kristen. No.
Like when you're doing the evaluation, is it of what you see in that moment in the classroom or what you've seen in a week?
In the moment in the classroom. And we'll talk about that in a second. Good call out. Two things I'll call out is first, for my new people, all those scenario questions we asked you during the interview are going to come to life during this time. Second, wanted to call out that Adam doesn't like toot his own horn enough. I remember Adam going in during formal evaluation sometimes with coaches to just be a thought partner with the rubric, right? So I have the rubric in front of me. Adam's going to be there as like a thought partner or a check on that, right? So use instructors, and instructors feel free in that way too, right, as a thought partner. Cool. Any like high level questions about how this is folding out? Oh my gosh. Megan, I don't even know who that is. All right, sorry, I thought I had my do not disturb on. Guys, don't send me any crazy messages. Nobody else at TNTP messages me, so that's fine. What I'll say here is I lost my train of thought, but it's back. Rubric. I literally wrote it in my notes. We're giving you everything you need to give that feedback. You're just collecting the evidence and kind of synthesizing that into bite-sized chunks to give to your people. So let's break this down. TNTP core used to be our biggest, but what we wanted to do this year was to make sure that we are looking at the whole teacher, right? So in the past, somebody could come in. Oh. There's good comedic timing. Respect. I feel like I'm going to get feedback later about this. All right, so in the past, the core has always been like the anchor and the foundation of how we evaluate it, but it didn't take into account someone's preparation and how they were showing up in spaces. And so we've worked really hard to balance out our observation and evaluation models. So for those who like need to see this on a calendar or need to see this in action, your first formal observation period is going to be the third week of PST. Okay? Second informal is going to be that very next week during the first half. And then 24, 25 is when you'll have your formals. So Amber's question about, is it going to be the same observation? If I only have 2 days to do a formal, and I have 10 residents, I might not be able to avoid it in some instances to do it for the same lesson. Okay? So that's how it's going to look. As coaches, you have a little bit of a freedom of how you schedule your people. And you'll talk to your FEM about strategies around that. Each performance area is equally weighted. So there are 4 for core. Essential content, culture of learning, essential content, academic ownership, demonstration of learning. Those each get averaged together for the overall core score that goes into their final evaluation. Any questions about core? All right, next piece is TLAC, right? So 25% again, same thing, right? So core and TLAC basically mimic each other of how they're going to be informally and formally evaluated. This rubric has 5 areas, so we're looking at 20% each for each of the 5 instead of 4. Questions? No, this is awesome stuff, okay? Next up is lesson planning and preparation. It might not be, I think it's essential traits. Yeah, essential traits. So commitment to educational equity, constant learner, critical thinking, and professionalism. Why do we evaluate on essential traits? A returner or somebody who thinks they know? Gosh, Adam, go ahead.
Maybe what y'all model actually. As they move into their reflection, also just a reflection of themselves. Doing all of those things to communicate, right, to continue growing.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Claudia.
And then the essential traits also show up in the school system. And they are rated during the school year on these areas.
I love it. I love that. That is exactly, your answer was beautiful too, but like, I was about to follow up and say, Shanita and I get pulled into principals' offices most often for professionalism concerns. So they've called out too many times and it's only October. They're not turning lesson plans in. They're not submitting grades. So the essential traits is what we hear about more than anything else in a teacher's first year. And so it is highly important, and what they show us again during the summer is highly indicative of what they're going to show their principals during the school year. All right, so same thing, 25%. So the only thing about essential traits that's different, what do you notice about the dates? Oh, yeah.
Different dates and it starts sooner. Like they start that. I think that looks like the first one.
Day one. Yep. So from the moment they hit our doors on that very first, we're calling it orientation part 2, but like opening ceremonies day, they're getting evaluated from that first day they come in. Why is that a Brittany Grimaldiism? Yes.
What they both said, it's like the essential traits is the basis of your job. It's the same thing at any workplace. So we have to watch it from day one. Are they going to be professional from day one? Because you have to be professional. You have to be on it from day one when you get with your students. How you start is how you want the rest of your year to go. So how they start the summer is how we want the rest of the summer to go and how we want the school year to go.
Love it. Zani?
Also, it's just about mindset. There are going to be situations where you early on catch questions about equity. Somebody might say something like, oh, they might say something about children with special needs, or these kids involved, or you'll hear certain language. And it's important as a coach and an instructor to know your mind and kind of make sure that you're aware of the mindset that you might have to address in the conversation.
Love it. Oh, Kristen and then Joe Toe. Yeah. So you will get access to our essential traits tracker. So basically, the data you're going to look at is from a very simple standpoint, if they had 5 lesson plans due in that period, how many did they submit on time? How many did they submit late? If there were 10 sessions within that period, how many were they on time to? How many were they late to? If you gave them feedback on a lesson plan, did they implement it or did they not? And then the big stuff like mindset, we track that. So if I'm in a CSB in session and I'm in the back and Claudia is a resident and says something that is a little bit raising of my alarm, I will track that and have a follow-up conversation, and those things get tracked. So the ones that are a little bit more around mindset, we have a tracker for that.
So, but it's different from what people are used to. There's some people where, it's somebody that's there's somebody that's highlighting that next to you. So it all really depends. So when we're thinking of the mindset, think about essential traits. We're going to be in a space, we're going to force, there are going to be some conversations that goes not connected. So also, you check yourself in that space as well, because it may be a space that you're not used to being in. And so thinking about how you have to check your beliefs, your values, and everything else. Understanding that the residents have to do the same thing, and also highlighting on the track those things that bubble up, but not being afraid to call out that it is going to be different. It is going to be challenging. It is going to be people at the same time. And so we're supposed to know, but not be so aware and so above. You don't understand that there is a pendulum that's going to shift, but be able to catch when it's just off and something's not right, or there's stereotypes or whatever it means. If you don't check it, then you need to check and see with yourself why it is. But at
Yeah, and there's a team behind you, right? Like we all have constant conversations of like, I heard this. What do you think I should do? Is this something you would be concerned about? What are next steps? I want to have this conversation, but I've never done that before. Can you sit in or can we practice together? Like we're all here for that, okay? Really quickly, because I'm running out of time. This is my like warm demander call out, right? We're all really good at the warm. We struggle with the demander, especially during the first week or so of PST, because we want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time they do it, right? And so if somebody shows up late the first day to PST, you might think, oh, they just hit traffic. I don't think it's going to happen again. Still track it because it might become a pattern or it might not. You just don't know yet, right? And so a lot of times we let things go the first time and then they become a pattern and we haven't taken advantage of the opportunity to nip it in the bud and call it out immediately, okay? So that's my challenge to you, okay, this summer. All right, last one is my favorite thing because people get to Baltimore City Public Schools and decide that because their planning standards aren't what our planning standards are, that we must be doing something crazy, and we're not. We really want to develop really solid planning and preparation habits in our folks because then they can go anywhere and teach anything and know how to do it right. So again, we have 2 informal evaluation periods and a formal evaluation period. What you'll see here is that our formal evaluation period for returners is the week before the last week. So our goal is to have final PST scores a few days earlier than usual this year so we can start gearing our folks up who are sticking around for the school year during that last week of PST. Really excited about that. There are 5 performance areas in lesson planning and preparation. All of those things together equal the final score, okay? So everything's equaled the same. I know some of you are like, hey, this isn't fair. They only get 1 formal. They only get 1 shot. If you know us, you know that if extenuating circumstances come back out or like somebody had a terrible day and they've been amazing all summer, we'll work with them. But a lot of times, the last round of formal evaluations is like redemption kitchen. What do they call it? Comeback kitchen. What is it? Top Chef? Comeback kitchen. Killer kitchen, right? You know what I'm talking about? Last chance kitchen. People are like, oh, I've been struggling. I'm on the cusp. This is my last chance to do well. People who are on the cusp are trying to pull themselves up at the end of the summer rather than like, oh, they might just have a bad day. So this is actually more, in our humble opinions, more reasonable to expect that we're going to give them a couple at-bats before we formally assess them, okay? Cool. So that final score puts people in 3 different buckets. If you score, the highest is a 3 for my newcomers, that's developing. If you score a 1.89 or lower, it's an automatic fail. So that means we're not even in the ballpark of being ready. Maybe you need to come back next year or consider a different path. If you are 2, 4, or higher, you're in the ballpark. You're doing all right. You're making progress. We're good. My consider additional evidence is in the middle, and this is the scenario from the interview, right? They're on the cusp. Are they ready or are they not? Because the numbers don't tell the whole story. And that's where I need you to be brave, okay? Because it's about the kids, it's not about the residents, okay? Questions on this? Raise your hand if you're ready to be brave with me this summer. Okay. All right, what time is it? All right, please take just a minute or 2 to complete your exit ticket. I know it was a quick session, but you can't leave me on stage too long, otherwise it gets weird. Okay, I'm coming around with a bit dicey supplies. When you're ready, I'll meet you up front. Yeah, I'm gonna show you in a video. Yeah.
In case that it's better there, but I know I went to PST. It was big for writing objectives, doing SWOT models. Students will be able to do whatever by something.
Yep.
I know my content lead was saying that there's, I don't know if it's just for secondary, but a big push to make it we will or I will statements.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because like in my class, I do like can or so that it's like
yeah.
Okay.
We just use that as like the standard like jumping off point. but I would always use